Joseph, you joined late. Notice VST. Yeah, VST has broken out nicely today. Really strong. Again, utility has to do with the small nuclear power. Again, just a nice breakout in VST. Pullback. It was another PBO. You know, we talked about PBOs this morning. Pullback opportunities. So a little pullback right here to the 8 and bouncing up. This was a nice setup right here on PBO. I took Sophie today on a PBO and a bounce above the algo line right there. So we're in Sophie. And I took coin. I took a debit spread in coin, but it's a little too volatile for me to post out there. I got a 310, 315. I paid $1.90 for it, I think. I was muted, Allie. Yeah, I was. I was chopping on some toast. Again, just looking around at the market here, I can see what the SPY's doing. It's the nice little grind up here in the market today. Nice little grind up. SPY's gotten above the 15. Now it's got the 8 just above it. Triple Qs have gotten just about to the 15 right now. So they're right up against resistance. And IWM is right up against resistance as well. So again, I've got to get a decent pullback of these things or a confirmed breakout before I'm going to trade any SPY super systems off of it. Again, the Q, I would want to see this thing. It's kind of riding along. The 15 is getting up there pretty nicely now, so there is a potential to go long. The problem is to the upside right now. The 15's in the way, 502.52, so about 90 cents to the upside. No, you don't want to hear me chomping on my toast, Allie. You think you do, but you don't. All right. Again, back watching here. Q's just drifting up. IWM as well. Again, SPY as well. Nice little move in the market this morning. 1% up on the Q's. SPY, 0.5%, a little more. IWM, almost 9/10. Yeah, all the indexes are up nicely right now. Not a runaway, and they are running up right against the 15s and the 8 exponential moving averages on the daily chart. So there's some resistance above that we have to watch. Just kind of watching our positions. All three positions up about 0.6% this morning. Made a run to get us out, but we didn't quite make it. Again, root's pretty nice, trading at 96.09. Again, we got a sell order in at 550. I don't know if we'll get there or not. We're so far away from expiration date. You see some nice call activity on the VST. Yeah, it's a nice one, Holly. Oh, no, you weren't talking about that. SMR. Yeah, SMR is also a nice one. Again, I have that position back on. I was underwater on it, but it is bouncing. It's another PBO. It's another pullback opportunity right here. Moves up, comes back down to the 8, bounces off a bit. Not a lot of volume here today, but not bad. That's average volume of this thing, about 10 million. It's trading about almost 5 right now. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit above average today. Let me check YouTube. Yep, hi George. Yeah, audio's on. I had the audio shut off. I was chewing on some toast. Sorry about that. Good morning, everybody on the YouTube feed. Welcome to the room. Again, this is the SPY Super System software we're talking about here, sometimes called the Compass. The things we're looking at here is the current time frame momentum right here, multi-time frame momentum right here, okay? And this is long-term trend, and this is a derivation of money flow. This is the ones we focus on for intraday and longer-term trades. This is the one we use for the SPY Super System, which I have not taken any SPY Super System trades today. We're looking to take longs off the VWAP or off the 15. But right now, the daily chart, and I'll show you why this is a little problematic right now. Because here's a daily chart. Let's take a look at the daily chart on the SPY. Okay, you see the orange line is the 15 EMA. It just went through that. The white line is the 8 exponential moving average. These are resistance levels. So there's the SPY. There's the Qs. See, right up against the 15 right now. In the IWM. So you have to be really cautious when you take these trades because you do have resistance on them all. So your upside potential is going to be limited unless it breaks through those resistance levels. So you want to keep that in mind. Again, we bought some Sophie here today, long. Almost was able to take profits in Altria this morning, MO. Let's pull back a little bit. Need about a 50-cent pop to take out profits in Altria. Yeah, some nice activity on SMR, Ali. All these stocks are VSTs in the same boat as that one is. OKLO. There's a few of them in there. NNE as well. Again, just kind of watching the market here. It feels nice and strong. SPY's moving up toward the 8 exponential moving average right now, through the 15. So pretty nice move in it. Triple Qs, really tiny candles here are the triple Qs now. After this nice move up, really flat as a pancake with compression here coming across the 15. Again, Qs right now are right up against the 15 EMA, right up against it. IWM also at resistance right now, just slightly above resistance with the 8 just above. So we got a lot of resistance on these indexes right now. So it's hard to take SPY super system trades off of this. This was a decent one here this morning, as it broke above the 15 right here. But you had this pivot point right here to contend with. So I didn't take it, but this was actually a pretty nice trade. These are pretty small candles though right now. Again, I liked coin today. Coin was called out in the room. Very volatile, very expensive, and I recommended a debit spread, a 310, 315 debit spread, expiring Friday for the what I thought was the better way to trade coin, because the options are so expensive, $1,500 for at the money calls. And we took some Sophie. Sophie again on the daily chart is what's called a PBO, a pullback opportunity. It looks really nice on the daily chart. Let me show it to you on TC2000. There it is right there. And there's your Sophie chart. There's a break above this algo line. This comes off this bull flag. Big volume, reducing volume, stock gaps up, and then slides down toward the 8, bounces off the 8, and does what's called a PBO, a pullback opportunity, as it bounces off the 8, and today moves up nicely through this algo line right here. So that's a decent setup. May work, may not work, but the setup is excellent. It's a high probability trade setup. Larry pointing out that financials look good. XLF, the ETF on the financial stocks, yeah, pretty nice today, up 0.4%. It's actually in a pretty nice compressed setup here on XLF. Goldman's down a little bit, but Morgan Stanley's up pretty nicely right here, and WFC is flat. JP Morgan is up 12 cents, so I guess Morgan Stanley's probably the stronger of those, the strongest of them right now. Bank of America also up 0.5% today. Joshua, Nvidia fought back, not sure what to make of it. Well, chip stocks have been pretty weak. I mean, it's gapped down this morning, yeah, and it's bouncing back up, but it's got a lot of resistance. AMD signed a deal with IBM. AMD gapped up this morning, and it's up about $5 right now, but it's right up against resistance, and it's coming off a really deep low. So, again, the chip stocks right now are, SMCI is also bouncing up a lot today, but I'm not touching them right now. Nvidia's right here. Here's the Nvidia he's talking about on the daily chart. See this gap down? It's been kind of rolled over, and now it's back down here. It's bouncing back up, but you got a lot of resistance here. We're just about at Friday's low here right now. But again, AMD outperforming because of that. Signed a deal with IBM. But none of the chip stocks are really in. Technically, on a daily chart, they're not looking that great. Nothing I would touch right now. Nice little drift up in the market here today. Again, small candles, a lot of resistance just above. Hard to trade SPY super systems with this much resistance above, so I'm just watching. Joshua, in trading, am I looking at news, etc., or only what I'm seeing on the charts? Most of the stuff I'm looking at is on the charts. Okay, I'm looking at the technicals. But I do have a news feed that runs all day long, and there are certain news items that I'm going to pay attention to and act on. Specifically, if I've got any companies, then I always cite this example: a company that lowers guidance or raises guidance, not an analyst, but a company that raises guidance or lowers guidance. Those are usually tradable type news events. Now there are other news events that come out that you can trade off as well. But you have to make a judgment as to how much of an impact they're going to have. A lot of times there'll be a news blurb will come out, the stock will shoot up or shoot down, and then just give it right back again. So you're looking for something that's going to have some staying power in it. Yeah, I don't really care what the company does either, Joshua, but I do care about the news. And I mean, I know about most of these companies, and the news does have an impact on it, but it depends on where the news is coming from and what the news is. There's rumors that come out all day long. Rumors of buyouts. There's millions of things. But like I do pay attention to unusual option activity sometimes. But I definitely take notes of any kind of company news that comes out. Those are really important. And there are some other companies that put out long and short reports on stocks, there are certain ones that have some credibility and certain ones that don't. So you have to be aware of that. But I do have news feeds going all the time. And you know, if I have a piece of bad news and the stock looks bullish, it may keep me from taking a trade in that one right now until I see how much validity there is in that news. But I'm not just trading off of news. I do make some trades off of news though. But the news has to be something that I feel is going to cause some staying power. But again, if you'll hear a news feed in my background during the day, I use the Trade Exchange. Lots of good things there.
Headlines up by Reuters: Israel launches a strike on central Beirut. On the ZETA, form for insider purchase, see a little volume in the name. CEO purchasing 53,676 at 19.24 for a total of $1 million.
So that news was Israel launches a strike on central Beirut. And then we have news here that Morgan Stanley raises its base case for 2025 year-end S&P target to 6,500. Again, something like that, Morgan Stanley comes out and raises the base in 2025 to 6,500. That's not going to impact our day trading or short-term swing trading. And I wouldn't pay too much attention to also war news. Typically, war news it can have a short-term effect. And I mean short-term, you know, half a day or something, but typically doesn't have a long-term effect on the market. Now it will have a more impact on things like oil. Oil will be impacted like that, and sometimes gold. But typically, people think that if the war is going to break out, if there's war going on as there is right now, that that it's going to hurt the market. It doesn't hurt the market. Typically, it helps typically, it's going to help some of the defensive stocks, defense industry stocks. But it's interesting if you look at like Lockheed Martin, which is a defense industry stock, and since look what it's been doing here. Lockheed Martin is actually we took a short in that last week, and traded it. That was pretty good. NOC, Northrop Grumman looks like a short here. Oops. Raytheon Corporation also pulled back pretty hard. Now it's came right down to the 100. So, be careful about making assumptions about what the news will do. A lot of times people want to know why stocks do certain things, why the market's doing certain things. Typically, we don't know why, and we'll just drive ourselves crazy trying to figure it out. And a lot of times you have to be careful, because if you make an assumption about what the market should do based on what you're hearing, you're going to end up biasing your trading, and you're basically going to be taking trades and staying in trades that you shouldn't, because it went against you, but you think the news is going to impact it. That's really dangerous. Terry took 28% on SMR. Nice job. Yeah, it's a nice setup on SMR. Up today, 15%. So again, this is new scale power. This is the nuclear small nuclear units to help drive electricity for chip manufacturers for the AI chips and stuff. There's SMR is in that, and OKLO is in that, BE is in that, and NNE is in that. But SMR is the one I'm carrying right now, and I'm looking for a breakout in it. All right, see if we have any more questions. Take a quick look at the YouTube. Yep. Oh, no, welcome everybody from YouTube. No questions over there. You can welcome to ask questions over in the YouTube feed if you want to. Again, you're looking at the SPY Super System here, which is a piece of software that looks to identify when the institutions are in the trade and when they're not. Specifically, the current time frame momentum and the multi-time frame momentum. You want those to be green or blue for long, and red or yellow for short. On the SPY Super System, which is the methodology we use to trade the SPY, the Qs, and the IWM. We're just focusing on the current time frame momentum. We're focusing on the 15 EMA, which is this little green line right there, and the VWAP right here, volume weighted average price, the pink line. Those are our support resistance levels. Those are what we trade off of. We got to be very careful with all of the indexes right now, because they're all right up against resistance from for the 8 and 15 exponential moving averages. So there's likely to run into some resistance up here. So right now I'm not touching any of these. Just kind of watching. Looking for a pullback and a bounce or a breakdown below the 15 in the VWAP to the downside and getting some red or blue here.
On ZETA, some continued insider buying. President and COO purchasing 13,250 at 18.55 for a total of $245,000.
That's Zeta. Zeta took a big pounding last week. That's what this news is about, the insider buying on it. CEO is buying some shares. If you look at it, it's at a big drop, but we're getting insiders are buying the stuff right now. So this is the daily chart right here. Here's the 5-minute chart. You can see the move up a little bit. Pulled down really hard, and it's right now above the 200-day moving average.
On markets following these a couple headlines out regarding Israel launching a strike on central Beirut, and also these Russia headlines getting more and more data points and wires.
Netflix having a pretty nice day here as well. Go back on Friday. Whoops. Hold it. Dog doesn't like delivery men. Alright, so we're getting a little pullback here as my dog is greeting the delivery person. SPY pulling down. Again, not unexpected here. Because the move up was really pretty good here, but then just really flattened out. And again, the Qs are right up against right against the 15 EMA, pulling back from the 15 right now. SPY also gets through the 15, now it's pulling back, and the IWM as well. So all of those ran into the 15 resistance, and that was what I was concerned about, which is why I didn't chase anything here this morning. So we'll just watch and see what happens here. Notice our current time frame momentum is going yellow here, but you wouldn't want to take this short because you got a VWAP right there as for the support. Too close. Joshua, what does the software show for WY and ZTS? You're looking for daily charts, just 5-minute charts for how's it bounced a little bit today, but the daily chart's pretty weak. You can see the daily chart's still bearish. It's going to have to make a little move. It's right up against the 8 exponential moving average on the daily chart. I'm looking at TC2000, but this is still bearish on WY. And ZTS. ZTS right here, really just kind of chopping sideways. Got mixed colors here, red and blue, so it's not giving us any indication of which way to trade this right now. And I would say ZTS is also in no man's land. This is what I look at on the daily chart. All right, it's right up against this is the 8 exponential moving average. Here's the 15. Here's the 200, the purple line. This is bouncing, but it's running right into resistance. So it's not something I want to touch right here. Warehouse is the same thing. See how it's kind of put in a bottom right here, but it's bounced up. But you see, you got the 100 right here, which is this blue line. You got the 8 exponential, which is the white line. The 15 here, the 200 here. A lot of resistance right in here. So again, that as far as I'm concerned, it's not something I'm going to touch. It's kind of in no man's land as far as I'm concerned. Both of those. When do I take the break? When do I take the break? When the breakout? I mean, it's got to break through the decent resistance levels on all of those. You've got too much resistance. It's got to break through there, and it's got to stay above there. It's got to close above there. I'm usually going to give it another day after it breaks out. Ali, Peg Nice, PG, Public Service. Yeah, nice utility. It is breaking out. Again, this is, if you're looking for like a breakout, so we're talking about when do you take the break. See how this is pulled down to the 100 right here, and then started to move up. You see, you got the 8 right here, and then it got through it, and then pull back a little bit. In other words, didn't confirm through it. Didn't confirm that it went through it. Pull back again. Now it's confirming. We closed above it Friday, and we're breaking out today. This is a breakout. All right. So this is one that is set up for a break. It's on a break right now. When do I take a break for lunch? I'll usually wait till the YouTube feed is done. We've had the YouTube has been going for about 40 minutes, so usually I wait an hour to an hour and a half. So likely it's about 12 o'clock. I'll probably take a break around 12:30, quarter of 1. I thought you were talking about a breakout on a stock. So again, we'll be watching the indexes for a SPY super system trade. I'll be looking for a bounce off of a pullback. It's right back through the 15, coming back toward the VWAP. Triple Qs, which is when the strongest index, is doing exactly the same thing. And IWM is exactly the same thing. Again, you can't take these, well, you can take them short, but if you take them short, you've got right here, you've got a pivot point, which is the white line, and you've got the 15, you got the VWAP right here, so that's support. So for me, you're too close to support to take a trade. The risk reward is not worth it on these things. Same thing with the Qs, and same thing with the SPY and the IWM. They're all have got too much support just below the VWAP and the pivot points, etc. All those things are support. When you're that close to it, your downside potential is just not big enough to risk the trade.
contracts expired December 6th.
That was an unusual option activity that came across on Peloton. December 6th calls by the offer, which means that typically that they're buying them for 37 cents. Those are the $8 calls. In other words, they're buying out of the money calls, which I don't like to do on Peloton, but $8 calls for pretty cheap. 37 cents. Somebody bought 4,647 calls. That's not that much at 37 cents. It's a lot of contract, but that sounds like a speculation trade to me for December 6th. So they're out about 3 weeks looking for a bounce to get above 837 by then. The chart itself is not. I mean, it's got a nice bullish setup here. It's a bull flag on the daily chart. There's your big volume here. That's a big gap up. See, it's been just kind of chopping around since then. Volume's dropping off. Bull flag, draft to the 8. It's just been following the 8. Now it's below the 8 and right on the 15. A little bounce above the 8 might be a good place to actually take some of those calls if you wanted to, based on the unusual option activity. But again, 4,500 calls at $37 a contract. Not a lot of dollars being put into this. But I just thought I'd point that out. That's one of the things that comes across the news feed. OEC, Joshua, bullish, OEC. Yeah, right, again, basic material stock, OEC, here's the daily chart, OEC, see the 100-day moving average right there? Nice breakup, but you run up against this 100-day. Now you have a big gap here, you have a big gap from here and down to here. But that's right up around the 200-day moving average, so it's got to clear there, and then you've got resistance right there. So that's the area that you're trading in. Again, it has put in a bottom here. You can see the bottom's pretty strong formed in pretty good there. And you say Peloton has had its day. Well, I wouldn't have any idea if Peloton's had its day or not. Stock price is just again, you have to be careful about making assumptions about stocks because once you say something in your head, if you think something about a stock, it's going to color your trading. In other words, you may trade it not based on the technicals, but based on what your opinion of it is, and that's very risky. Again, I know when you say Peloton's had its day, you're thinking about fundamentally as far as the stock is concerned, which may be true, but it also doesn't mean the stock's necessarily going to trade like that. Joshua, you have that issue? Yeah, it's really important to understand that if you're trying to trade successfully, consistently, you've got to have methodologies that work, and those methodologies shouldn't um, be impacted by your opinion of the fundamentals on the stock or how the company is. It's also be based on technicals. Again, I do look at some of the news that comes through, but most news is not going to have an impact on the stock unless that news is coming out from the company itself, or the CEO flies to Argentina with money from the company's account or something. But typically, I'm just looking at technicals on the stock. Typically, that tells me if the institutions are in and they're buying stock. You may think the stock stinks, but if the institutions are buying it, I'm buying it, as long as it's bullish on the daily. There's a big hedge fund guy that get into Peloton. Yeah, I mean, listen, how many hedge funds people, a lot of hedge fund may be getting in, there may be another one getting out. They're I don't really have any great confidence in analysts, whether they work for a hedge fund or whether they work for one of their investment banks. They're in here looking at the fundamentals on the stock. Very few of them have technicals to look at technicals on the stock. Some hedge fund may, but if they're buying Peloton right now, they're not trading off the technicals. I'll tell you that right now, because it's not set up bullishly. But I don't pay much attention to that. These companies spend tons of money on this. They'll get 5 different analysts and they'll get 5 different opinions. I mean, so basically, as far as I'm concerned, I throw them all out. I just look at the technicals and look at the setup and look at the history in the chart. What's the context of the daily chart? What's the daily chart look like? Is it choppy, or does it get into a trend and stick with the trend for a while? Is that what I want to trade? Something that moves up nicely. We have FI, all right? So this is FI. So if you look at the daily chart in FI, what's the context? This is a beautiful chart. I mean, this is really, see that white line? That's the 8 exponential moving average. Look at the pattern on this chart. So am I afraid to be in this long like we are right now? Heck no. This is a beautiful long. Now, it could fail, but this has got a history of getting into uptrends and staying in the uptrend. See, here's another one here. So, that's what I look for. I look for the overall context of the stock. On SOFI we just took today, Sophie. What am I looking for? You see the this pop up here. That's a bull flag, and then a pullback with lower volume, and then it starts to break back above the 8 exponential moving average right here, and trying to get through this what's called an algo line. This is a line that the institution algos draw, and they try to get through that, which is where it's trying to get through right now. And I took it already. Now I may regret it because it may not get through there, but I get into this a little early. I posted a little early, but if it breaks above there and stays above there tomorrow, I'll add to the position. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at technicals, and I'm looking at the charts and how the charts look contextually on the daily chart. That tells me and whether the institutions are in the trade or not. That's important. If I look at Sophie, and I go to Sophie and I go to the daily chart on Sophie over here on the compass of the SPY super system, you see what I see? I see all green. Current time frame momentum, multi-time frame momentum, long-term trend. I love it. So I'm in the trade. I have no reason not to think that the institutions are buying the stock. It just, you can see what they've been doing here for a good long time. So that's what I'm looking for. So if the institutions are buying it, and I like the setup, I'm in. I don't take a lot of trades. We don't have a lot of trades on at any one point in time. Yeah, that's a good question, Joshua. He asked me if I get into Sophie. What determines if you create a spread versus or buying a straight call? It's a situation with Sophie. It's a fairly inexpensive stock here, so I think I can take straight calls because they're fairly inexpensive, and I can get a really good move in the options. Now, when I did coin today, I did a debit spread on coin. I did a 310, 315 debit spread on coin because this thing moves so fast, and at the time the 310 at the money calls just for a baseline we're trading about $1,500. So that's too expensive for me to take a straight call on that because I've got too much risk on a really volatile stock. But I could take a debit spread, and I took a debit spread, a 310, 315 for, I forget what I paid for it, but $1.90 or something like that, or maybe two something. I can't remember. Let me look. What I pay for coin. Yeah, $2. I paid $2. I got a sell order in at 250. If it gets there, I'll be happy with that. Again, when you're doing debit spreads, and I use weekly expirations, when you do them on Monday, you can't get as much profit on Monday or Tuesday as you can on Wednesday, Thursday, because the time decay on the short option, you've got the short call, is going to deteriorate much faster toward the end of the weeks, so you can buy it back cheaper and increase that profit on the trade. So if I can get 50 cents out of this when I'm in for $2, I'll take it. That's 25%. I'll be happy with that for just a one-day trade. But like on Sophie, it's an inexpensive stock. The options were only running around $2 or something for a deep in the money call. I'll take that because I can get more bang for my buck. And remember, when you do a debit spread, when you buy the 310, 315, you're putting a cap on the maximum profits that you can get out of the trade, because the most you can get from 310 to 315, the most you can get is $5. So if you paid $2 for it, the most you can get is $3 if you waited to the end of the week and it stayed there. It stayed above 215. Whereas if I bought the 310 calls, my upside is much more unlimited, because if stock keeps going up, that'll make a lot more money. So I have to make a judgment as far as which strategy to take, because there's basically three. I can take straight calls, I can take call debit spreads, or I can take a put credit spread on it. Those are the main three that I use on those. But that's why I chose the straight calls on Sophie. It's a good question. Coming up about 12:10 here, 12:11 right now. So let's go back, look at the SPY, see what's coming back toward the VWAP. Market's all pretty much in sync right now. Q is coming back toward the VWAP, IWM coming back toward the VWAP. So again, if I'm looking for a trade, you notice this is yellow. Bearish, can't take it long yet. Waiting for a bounce. I wouldn't take this one anyway. I'd probably take the Qs. Let me see where they are in relationship to the 15 EMA. Yeah, Qs have got a little bit of room to the upside now. SPY is right on resistance. IWM right on resistance. So the Qs would be the one I would take if I get a bounce off the VWAP here. Notice the 15, which was green. 15 EMA has turned red, sloping down a little bit, and we're red right here. So we'd be looking for a bounce off the VWAP and a color change to blue or green. We see Joseph breaking out. Yeah, uranium stocks. again, are pretty strong here. UEC is pretty low, pretty inexpensive stock. $8.33, trying to break out. This is here's the chart on it right here. Yeah, not a bad chart. It moves up and pulls back to the 8. Kind of pulled back through the 8 and the 15. Never quite get down to the 200-day moving average or the 100-day moving average, but now it's popping up. This is a little concerning here on Friday. That's a little concerning. This move up to just about where it is right now, and then the sellers came back in again. So I'd be aware of that. But here's your breakout level right up there. Joshua, on your watch list, you got WPM for potential short. Wheat and precious metals, yeah, very, gold, very volatile. It's right up against the 100-day moving average right now. Also HASI. Yeah, HASI, I know. Again, that's another REIT. And anything like that, if you're looking at HASI here, here's the low right here. I mean, this is what you got to see break below. This is a nice bearish chart, but it's trying to put in a bottom. And if I look at the high volume candlesticks that I use for horizontal support and resistance, I draw a line right there. It's got to get through there. And you notice when these high volume candles, see this volume candle right here? This high volume candle that's in white. The gray one's in less than normal. This is a high volume candle. You see how it touched it there? You see how it touched the bottom of that candle? You see how it touched the bottom of that candle, that candle, that. This is a major support level on HASI. All right, so it's got to break down below there. Now, if it gets below there, then you've got a little bit of room. Okay, because your next major support level is right down around there. You see how this goes across the top of this? See how it touches the bottom? This is institutions, for the most part. This is institution buying and selling when you've got these big high volume candles. So if you connect those, it gives you some nice room here. But here's your room down at 25.50, but it's got to break and get below that 26.87. I hope that helps you a little bit. ENVX. Yeah, ENVX also a potential short. Again, trying to put in a bottom. Hasn't been able to. Trying to put in a bottom here right now. Again, these are in no man's land. These are not trades I take. I got to have some sort of a trend I can follow. This thing comes down, it moves up, it comes down. Where's it going? If I can't predict where I think a stock is likely to go based on the technicals, I'm not going to trade it. It's hard enough to make money in the market taking high probability trades, let alone ones that really aren't. Again, those high volume candles I showed you, not that many people know to use those or use those, so I shared it with you. I hope you appreciate that, because I don't have to do that. That's why you're here, Joshua. I appreciate that. Again, I do my best to try to share information that I use to get these high probability trades. I mean, I've been doing this for over 15 years. My strategies and methodologies have changed and improved over the years till the ones I sit on right now. And this SPY Super system for 5-minute candles has been extremely good. I haven't taken any today. 22-1 for the month. And these things are producing really, really good results. But you have to understand how to do them, and I have a video on it. And you have to pretty much manage them yourself. I can tell you when I see one that I'm probably getting in, and I'm getting in, but I can't manage the profits and losses for you. So you got to know to get in right at the support or resistance level, as close to it, so your downside risk is minimal, and then you have to know where your resistance levels are to the upside, so you know where about to take profits. So it becomes an exercise for folks who want to trade this. I'm giving you the information that you need to trade it. That's going to make them successful. You have to be able to take that information and turn it into your own trading methodology to make it work. I know it works for me. I mean, really, very high level. As I said today, when I did a review of the SPY Super System since the middle of July, I've got a profit factor of over 5.16. That's astronomically high for a profit factor on trades. Typically, all of our trades together, usually not counting those, are around 2.6, which is really high. Anything over 1 is a profitable methodology. Coin trading at 250. I don't think I get filled on it yet, Terry. I have a 250 order in on it, but yeah, no fill yet. Now midpoint's 238. It's very widespread, so that it's going to jump around. You know, it's probably going to have to jump to 270 as a midpoint in order to get filled. 260, 270, something like that. Because it's Monday. Monday makes it much. Debit spreads on Monday are much more difficult than on Wednesday, Thursday, because of the fact that you've got so much time left to expiration, which means the time decay stays kind of inflated. Well, it doesn't come down as fast on the short call on Monday, Tuesday as it does on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I think 250 is a good, reasonable price for this. I paid $2 for it. If I can get 250 for it, that's 25% in one day or half a day. I'll take it. Then I'll come back and revisit it tomorrow. Okay, so coin just got filled. So the debit spread on coin just got filled at 250. Again, it's midpoint 262. That's a figure it would take something like that to get filled. So I'm out of the coin trade. I didn't post it here. It was too quick, too expensive, and just moving too fast. But I just did take profits in coin. That was a call debit spread. And so we're watching the SPYs, the Qs, the IWM right now for SPY Super System trades. Right now I got nothing here. I can't trade any SPY. I can't trade a SPY Super System trade. Now I got a dynamic compression zone forming right here above the price on the SPY. This is pretty non-tradable action right now. You could try to trade long Qs, a long SPY above the 15 right here, but again, remember, on the daily chart, we're right up against the 15 with the 8 just above this. So too much resistance, not enough upside potential for me to make a trade here on any of these, especially since the current time frame momentum is still bearish on all of these right now. So just watching, and again, I did take coin. I took profits in coin in at $2, out at 250. Happy with that for a trade today with coin, because it's really volatile, very expensive. That's why I took debit spreads in them, and it worked very nicely, very nicely. Again, you see the market pulling back. You see coin still holding up. This is relative strength. It's got relative strength. Joshua, you can't trade Tesla for the life of me, but there was gimmick news here. Yeah, listen, Tesla is very volatile, and with the change in administration, it's going to be even more volatile. But I mean, if you look at what I've got on Tesla, I mean, this is pretty clear cut to me. All right, you see this resistance level right here? That's a high volume line. See how it went right to it? Went through it here and came back, went right to it here, went right to it here, went through it this morning just a bit, and now it's pulled back below it again. If it gets above there, you got room to 364. If it falls below here, you got room down here to the 8 exponential, and this another support level down here at 215. These are pretty big. These are pretty big spaces that you can take advantage of. But you don't want to be going long as it runs up against this high volume line right here. That's a resistance level. That's what you got to be careful about. Knowing where these things are, let you know when to get in and when not to get in, and when to get out. So, yeah, it's a very, very volatile stock, and it has been for a long time. But I traded a lot. I mean, I traded a lot, but obviously it's got to meet the conditions I want. Doug, please explain what a profit factor of 5 means. Typically, a profit factor of 1 is about an even strategy. Anything above 1 is is profitable. Anything above 2 is tremendously profitable. What that tells you on a profit factor of 5 is that you're getting your losses are fairly small, and you've got a high win rate on it. Win rate of 85 to 90% with relatively small losses and no big losses, no huge losses like you can get in some of the other trades. And the profit factor is going to vary based on how much upside you've got in these trades. But that's looking all the way through July, back to now. It's 5.16, which is really, listen, when you're getting profit factors of over 2, that's really nice. And anything over 3 is really, and 5 is crazy. I mean, I've had cases where I've had short terms of profit factors of 12 to 15, but typically 5 over 4.5 months is really, really good. FedEx just filled a big gap, Ali. Yep, yeah, it did. It's FedEx that he's looking at here. And again, they're talking about the daily chart. See the big gap here? And this is a gap fill. It's taken all this time to fill that gap. This was the downside on the gap right here. Went into it, pulled back to it again, and now it's filled it. And again, this line right here, which is a high volume horizontal line, it just hit. That's resistance, which is very close to the entrance to the exit to that gap right there. And there's going to be resistance right there in this gap, just like there's resistance when you try to get into the gap. Yes, thanks. 30 or 40 cents, a pretty big loss in the SPY super system. Yeah, but for what you're talking about, but it's not compared to what some of the other ones. Again, the fact is, if you should be able to, if you trade this preferably, you should be able to get close to a 85 to 90% win rate. And if you're losing 20 or 30 cents, 30 or 40 cents, but you're going to have trades in there that are easily 40, 50, 60, 70 cents, and some of them go as high as $1.50. Just depends on the market. So, and it depends on how you manage them, Doug. Any thoughts on V, Joseph? On V being bullish? Yeah, it's bullish for sure. Definitely, the financials are doing pretty good. That's a pretty nice move in V. You see it's trying to break out right there. MasterCard not as strong. Visa the stronger of the credit cards services right there. Yeah, I like Visa. Again, I'm out of coin. Curious to see Apple. Here's Apple. Now, what do I see when I see this chart? I see a mess right now. I mean, remember we looked at that FI? There's the daily chart in FI. Would you like that? Would you like that? I'll take FI every day of the week. I mean, look and see what Apple's doing here. it does have an algo line right here, but you see it goes above and below, keeps going above and below. We need a confirmed breakout above this. A lot of chop on this thing, really, really a lot. This is a really ugly chart right now for Apple. Again, you have to look at the whole trade in context. See how nice it was back here? This whole nice ring. Then you get this. Now look what you got. You got a mess. So why would I want to trade that when I get some other ones that are so much better? Doug, your question on following the rules and only succeeding 65 to 70% of the time of the SPY super system. You know, and again, I try to point out all the nuances, some of the nuances with it. You know, what's the market doing? Where's my support and resistance level? Are we in a trend day or in a chop day? A lot of that makes a huge difference. And I don't know how many trades you're taking numbers wise compared to me. Like I haven't taken any today. Some days I only take 1 or 2. Some days I take 4 or 5. Day like today I take 0. But you know that comes with experience and getting a feel for what the market's doing, what you expect it to do the rest of the days, judging how long you stay in them and how close you are getting those. Now, if you get flushed out on a big red candle or a big green candle, there's not too much you can do about that. But generally speaking, if you're getting in and out or in and out right close to support and resistance levels, you're going to do fine. And if you're following the rules, you know, closely enough, you should be able to get up to an 80% win rate without too much effort with some experience on these. Joe, do I put a sell price on a SPY super system trade immediately after entering the trade? No, I don't. I don't. You know, if the day is choppy, okay, I'm going to watch it. And I'm going to see if it starts to once it starts to lose momentum on a choppy day, I'll go ahead and take the profits. But if it's a trending day, and let's say I'm using the 15 as a stop, and I'm still fairly close to the 15 because it's sloping up, I'm going to let it ride a little bit. It depends on the context of the market for that day. That's so important. And again, I get people making more money than I am on the SPY super system in here using the you know, percentage wise, because they're more aggressive than I am on days when it's moving up, and I'll take profits and they'll stay in, sit through a little bit of a pullback, not a breakdown, not through resistance and not through support, but they stay in it and then they'll get a bounce again and take more profits. And you know, you got to remember, I'm not just looking at that one trade. I've got other trades on. I'm answering questions from a lot of people in the room about things, and I'm looking at I'm going through a lot of scans. If you're just trading the SPY super system, you can be much more focused than I can be on those kind of trades. But again, I don't see anything to trade here in SPY super systems. None, nothing. I mean, do I want to trade those Qs short as it breaks down below the 15? Not with a VWAP right there. I don't know. T2104 today, by the way, which is a cumulative volume index on TC2000. This tells me what the volume is on the up stocks minus the volume on the down stocks. See what we've got today? here's the open right here. You see how this has been moving up, 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 up. A little bit of a pullback, but this is moving up very consistently here today. It's pretty much mimicking the market, but this is pretty strong so far, T2104, which leads me to believe that the SPY is not going to make it, SPY Q is not going to make any dramatic drops. I mean, they could, but it's not likely to with the volume skewed to the upside like that. Which leads me to believe that if I'm going to do anything here, if I can find a SPY super system setup, I'm going to look for a long. Just they're so close to the resistance levels right now on the daily chart that it's hard to take them. Again, I'm out of a coin called debit spread for a nice in at $2 out at 250. That's a nice 25% gain in a couple of hours. Sophie just moving sideways right now. SMR grinding up beautifully today. Again, Sedge was short. It's up today with the market drifting up, but the daily chart's still bearish on Sedge. And MO got up almost to our sell order this morning. Got within about 3 cents of our take profit target. Now it's pulled back again. The daily chart's still really nice on MO.
Circulation, so some comments out by Ken Griffin says he's invested in nuclear and it's the future.
Joshua, I mentioned this a few times. What's the learning curve on the SPY super system? It's hard to. Everybody's different. Again, if you look at the video I put out on this thing, it goes into some fairly strict details. Now, the video that's coming out today that you're going to get, which is a recap of the SPY super system trades of the day, goes into the criteria again, and you can make nuances to that. One of the things that people overlook when they look at the SPY super system, because they'll say, okay, it's bouncing off it's coming through the 15 now. This is yellow. I should take it short right here. They forget to look at what the trend is for the day. They forget to look at what how close is support here, like the VWAP. And again, you're trading an index that's green. You're trading it short, so you're trading against the trend for the day. All of those things have to be taken into consideration, and it takes a little bit of practice to get used to taking those. And I would suggest skipping trades as opposed to taking too many. You know, try to take only the very best ones, and that's what I lay out in the video. But you know, I do take counter trend trades sometimes. Sometimes I'll take a SPY super system trade to the short side, even if the stock is green for the day, if I've got a confirmation that the institutions are selling and I've got enough room to the downside to justify taking the trade. But you know, those become a little bit more difficult. So I would say the learning curve, if you're doing this, especially if you're working, depends on how much time you can spend. But typically you're not going to need to spend a lot of time, especially on a choppy day. You're only going to be trading maybe for 3 or 4 candles. Like if we took this one as it broke down below the 15 right here, you're probably out right now. I mean, this thing is just moving sideways. The 15's drifting down. That becomes your stop, but you're still up some money on the trade. So, you know, it's hard for me to like babysit these trades. I can't alert them. They're too quick. All I can do is set out the criteria for trading these the Qs, the SPYs, and the IWM, and each trader using the SPY super system or the compass system indicators and the VWAP and the 15 and looking at the overall market trend for the day, then that you have to make those judgments. So there is, there's obviously some subjectiveness in these, but typically you should be able to, if you trade these for a while, you should be able to get to an 85% win rate on these things. They're that good. My win rate is, like I said, it's 22-1 this month. So I'm keeping them between an 85 and 90% win rate on them. You have some losses, but I try to keep the losses low as possible. Sometimes you'll get a flush and get hurt, but if that happens every now and then, that's not bad if you get an 85% win rate. For a day job, I would recommend on something like that, Joshua, if you can't, if you put the trade on, go ahead and put a stop on it below the 15. We'd have to close below the 15, but if you can watch it, just put a sell order on it, up at a higher level. Maybe depending on the day, anywhere from 30 cents to about 70 cents or 80 cents. Since you're not going to be able to watch it all the time, and if it hits your target, you're out. And but you're going to have to. It's hard to set stops on these things because you're probably going to get flushed if it comes back down through and then bounces back up above the support level again. You're going to get ticked out, which is why I don't like to do that. When I get out of the trade, I get out of the trade manually. I'm watching it. All right, it's getting close for me to have some lunch here. About 4 more minutes, I'm going to take lunch. Before I take lunch, I'll go ahead and shut down the YouTube feed. I want to thank everybody in the YouTube feed today for watching the broadcast. Again, we do this every day, Monday through Friday, market open to market close. And you see the SPY just went blue here, but am I going to touch that? Probably not, but because I get this dynamic compression zone right here. But we are getting some buying coming back in, but not on the Qs yet. And we do have them on the IWM. So notice the Qs are underperforming right now because they're red. IWM is right at the 15 EMA, right at it with the 50 just about, way too close to me for support and resistance, way too close to trade it, especially around lunchtime. By the way, that SPY super system setup that we talk about here, coming off the 15, coming off the VWAP, that can also work on stocks. The problem with the stocks are, if you've got a wide spread on the bid and ask on the options, it's much more difficult to trade. That's why I like the SPY, the Qs, the IWM. Lots of liquidity, tight spreads, get in and out nice and easily. But it works on stocks too. the same setup on a 5-minute if you want to try to intraday trade stocks. But again, I'm sticking with the indexes because I don't have to fight those huge bid-ask spreads like coin. You know, there's no way you can do that on coin because the spread on the options is so crazy. But you know, this was a nice right here, nice move. This is actually approximately where we took this called debit spread, and this moved up pretty nicely. But if you're paying $1,500 with a $1.50, $150 spread on the options, that's really tough to trade. So that's why I stick to the SPY, Qs, and IWM. See the SPY popped out of there. Don't like this whole pattern here right now. Now it's coming back down again. See, it just went from, we start to get these color changes. That's not the kind of pattern you want to be chasing. All right, everybody, I'm going to get some lunch. So thanks so much for the YouTube folks. I've been watching today. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see everybody on the YouTube feed tomorrow. Have a great